I had hopes, but I was not prepared for how good it really was. It's something that's different, and at the same time, it's something that audiences are going to relate to, and they're going to like the characters, because to me, it's all about character. If you like the characters, you care, and then the scares generally work. I'm sure my fans will enjoy the movie. I think they're going to really enjoy the movie. And I think that some of them will go back 2 or 3 times to actually savor the thing. I mean, I went back and saw it a second time and felt that I was seeing things the second time through that I'd missed the first time. When I wrote the book, I thought to myself, well, I've written some books and I've gotten this reputation as a horror novelist, so it will be my final exam. And I'll bring back all the monsters that I remember from my childhood, the ones that I grew up with. Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, the Thing from Beyond the Grave, because the entity that is Pennywise focuses on whatever that particular child fears the most. I was thinking about the universal monsters and the ones that scared kids in the 50s. Well, they've moved the time frame, they had to the 80s. To me, that isn't the important thing. The important thing is they kept the core idea that Pennywise gets to these kids by finding out what they're afraid of and being that thing. One of the things that I wanted to do in the novel, in all of my novels, is to create characters who are fundamentally decent, by and large. And that way, you don't want them to be spam in a cabin. You know, you don't want them wiped out. You want them to live and you want them to win. And I think that that translates to the film. That's one of the reasons I really like this movie. Let me just say that I had hopes, strong hopes for the movie, because I knew Andy's work from Mama, and I thought he was really, really talented director. And I also loved the idea of concentrating on the kids' half of the story. Skarsgård was great as Pennywise, and he's got big shoes to fill, let's face it, because people remember Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown, and they remember the look that Pennywise had.
I always thought that, you know, giving the character a bit of those childlike features would make him more unnerving and unsettling, because of the contrast of someone that looks innocent and sweet and cute, and is capable of doing horrifying things. I wanted him to have this mad look, in which one of the eyes is looking away. And it's funny because talking to Bill, I mentioned this as a trait of Pennywise, and he said, well, I can do that. And he did it. He did like that, and it freaked me out. And I said, good job, man. You just saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, probably one of the very few people that can do it in the world. It's just like, not cross-eye, the opposite of cross-eye. You will see it in the movie. It's pretty terrifying. The madness in his look, his body language was completely unnerving. He's incredibly talented, and there's like, you know, the control of like every muscle in his face is like just amazing. It's very impressive. He like did things physically in this movie that he never did before or never tried before, and it's a very, I think it was a very, very exhausting work. Every single scene with Pennywise implies some certain Titanic stunt, and And I really have to give it to Bill to go through that, because he did an amazing job, and his energy was at full all the time. It's a shape-shifting entity of evil that appears in these kids' lives. It's been around for millions of years, and he comes out of hibernation and starts feeding on kids. It's curious how each of the actors share the DNA with the characters. It's really fascinating. I mean, it wasn't easy to cast, the losers, but I ended up finding people that share the traits and characteristics with the characters that are playing in such a strong way. It's also about making justice to Stephen King and his style and the way he writes. He doesn't hold anything back. It's just, he's gory and gruesome and as graphic as he wants to be, and it's such a big part of the emotional impact of his work. Probably the time of your life where you're most imprinted and terrified is when you're like 6, 7, and you're watching a horror movie. And it's a feeling that you won't have again in the rest of your life. So it's a bit of a chimeric quest to get that feeling back. So I think that's what the journey is of a filmmaker that loves making scary movies.
Beverly is one of the strongest, bravest out of all the other losers. Some may say she doesn't care what other people think and she's very independent, but actually in real life she's wants to be a part of something. She wants to have friends, she wants to connect with other people, but she's almost scared. She's afraid of what's going to happen and afraid what's going to happen if she gets close to people. When I first met him, he was stumbling in front of the steps, and I couldn't get around him. At first, I was kind of annoyed, but later I just felt really bad for him of how much a loser he was. So a lot of people called him the new kid because I think he's kind of the opposite. He does not stand out at all. People keep thinking he's the new kid when he's been around for like forever, which just makes me even pity him even more. So almost I'm like, you know what, I care about this kid. I've only known him for like 2 minutes. First time you see him, he looks like a clown, but he doesn't really act like a clown. Like, you normally think clowns would be like, clown-like. But he kind of gives, Bill Skarsgård kind of gives this certain personality to Pennywise, a certain kind of Pennywise that you wouldn't really expect, like a demonic baby, like, animal, which is very fun to see him act. I didn't really think about it until I came on set. I was like, oh my god, all these kids are like 12-year-old boys. It's like I'm gonna have to work with them for like 3 months. But they surprised me. They were very nice to me, and first look, they seem very hyper and very very interesting, but they're very nice. Whenever people ask me, how is it like working with all the boys? And it's like, shh, I don't think they noticed. And you don't know how long I've been waiting to say that.
For the first 2 months, he didn't show us Bill as Pennywise or anything until it was actually in a take. So that was definitely an amazing idea because it got our real reactions, and it definitely got it. He is kind of the really smart one of the group, and he was, I guess you could kind of say, the nerdy one. But he never had any friends at the start, which he didn't think that was a bad thing until he met the Loisirs Club. Then he thought it was the greatest thing in the world. The first day we met, we could have been friends for like 10 years, it looked like. It was, the chemistry with everyone on and off set is absolutely amazing. This is definitely, I think, the best chemistry I've ever had with kids. Nick did want to stay away, but, you know, we love Nick. Well, when we did break him into coming on with us, he's been absolutely amazing. He's really nice. It's really weird going to like totally friends, and then 1 second he's beating me up and 1 second he's hugging me. It's really weird to just like keep turning off and on. Oh my gosh, he is so nice. Like right before takes, he'll be like, "So Finn, you got to remember that move, right?" It's like, "Yeah, okay, I got it." And then one time when Jack was getting slobbered on, his watch was fixed and he had a broken arm, so he couldn't move that. And it's like, "Can somebody help me with my watch?" And then Bill runs over and fixes his watch and then runs back and gets in character.
The cast in this movie is just, it's brilliant because everybody seems to easily relate to their characters, and they don't just portray their characters perfectly, they bring a new light to their characters. And I mean, everyone is doing such an amazing job, and I do feel extremely lucky that I get to work with them. Richie's kind of the funny one, and Eddie's the sickly one who's afraid to do anything, really. Stanley is kind of the OCD person who's, you know, afraid of everything, but just is more disgusted by everything. We have Mike, who's the oldest and kind of the strongest, and I would say Bev is one of the strongest as well. I feel like this is one of the best experiences I've had as a movie, working on it. It makes it so fun to work on set. And, you know, this is such a unique movie. I mean, there's horror movies, and there's action movies, and there's sci-fi movies, but this is a mix of so many different things. I think we're all like brothers now, and sister. Because, well, what I mentioned before, the first weeks with Benjamin, we were just doing these exercises to get comfortable with each other, like looking into each other's eyes for 3 minutes, which was awkward at first, but it was like a really quick way to get to know each other. And it was so weird because I think the second day of knowing each other, we were so close. We knew so much about each other, and we were best friends already. But now, after 4 months, I've never been so close to anybody else, a kid my age. I think we do it too much, but we like to joke around on set, because things are getting really emotional now. We're about to leave, and also the scenes are just so tough. We're fighting Pennywise we're killing this monster, so we're having fun offset as much as we can. It's so scary because he kind of has this young baby face, but he's so tall, and his voice is so squeaky, and it's cracking so much, and he does such a good job with his body. Physically, he just does these crazy things, and he seems like a clown trying to perform for us, but I mean, he's not doing a very good job because it's really scary.
Pennywise is sort of this demon of all demons. He's sort of every fear you can ever imagine, and he's sort of like a predator. He needs to eat, and so the food chain for that is little kids. Me and all of the losers and the bullies get along so well. We're like a huge family, and we hang out like every day. After set, we go to dinner together, we have sleepovers and see movies together, and it's very, very cool. I think it would be a very different movie if we didn't get along. One, because you have to see that trust in the movie, and it just wouldn't be the same thing. To people who say it'll just be a horror film, it's not. It's very psychological. It plays a lot into the book, too, because there's a lot of character development in that book, and we try to fit as much character development as possible into the first movie. I think what Andy has done with Stephen King's vision is incredible. I mean, that sounds biased from an actor in it, but I really have faith in this movie. My first reaction when I saw Bill in his Pennywise makeup, I was so freaked out. It's a scene where Eddie falls down this hole and breaks his arm, and he comes out of the fridge and starts mocking him, and that was really, really terrifying. After Bill's younger brother Georgie dies or goes missing, I think Bill realizes that Derry is not a normal place. And so I think he leads the losers to believe that. The other adversaries are, I guess the other evil villain types are Henry Bowers' gang, who consists of Henry Bowers, Belch, Victor Criss, and Patrick Hockstetter. And so they're all kind of hell-bent on terrorizing these little kids.
My character is Mike Hanlon, and the best way I could describe him is he's a really genuine person. He's raised very humble, very down to earth, and I just think he's never really had any friends because he lives outside of town and there's still racial prejudice. So I think this friendship with the Losers Club really means a lot to him personally because this is the only friendship he's had other than the sheep on the farm. The way we're all bonded together, hence the name, we all have certain things about ourselves that ostracize ourselves from the rest of the city. Either be weight, a stutter, African American. And I think that really bonds us together because we really have nowhere else to turn. Pennywise is a master of disguise. Pennywise is not just one thing. There's so many nightmares out there, he can inhabit any of them. So Pennywise is not just one creature. He does whatever he needs to do to scare you. So he just manifests in whatever is necessary to get the job done. The first time I saw Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård, who was fantastic, we were in Nebo's house, and it wasn't my scene. It was Eddie in the kitchen with Pennywise, and he had him pinned up. He was drooling. This man, I don't know how he drools that much. I really don't get, he just drools like unending supply of drool. And he's laughing, and he holds him, he's choking him, and then he'll smile at him, and then he hit him. He's just so sporadic. You don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know if he's gonna love you, kill you, choke you. It's scary. I don't know what else to say. It's just scary. Mr. Andy, who was fantastic, one of the best directors I've ever worked with. He didn't let us see Pennywise until we were in a scene with Pennywise, which wasn't, I think it was like a month later, because we trained together, bonding, we started shooting, and then we saw Pennywise, which built up the suspense. This film is the most, it's physically scary. Pennywise emotionally will scare you. He's just so sporadic. You don't know what he's going to do. It just has an intensity to it, an adrenaline. It just makes you, like, you're going to be sitting there like, oh, shoot. You go on a date with a girl trying to be all tough. You're not going to be looking tough because this movie is going to make you jump in her arms, really.
Stan Uris is a very kind of neat freak, I guess you could say in a way. He has OCD. He definitely doesn't like to get dirty, as you see multiple times throughout the movies, like in the Barrens and other places. But once he gets into the sewers, he just kind of lets free just a little bit, not too much, because that's just not him. They learn to bond over the summer, and they all come together because of it, basically. And also the Bowers gang. That's how Ben finds his way into our group, which is a really unique way to stumble upon the Losers. And that leads to a whole other conundrum, and then Beverly comes in and sees Ben, and they all connect, and then Mike comes, and then they all just figure out what's going on, because they know something's up when everyone tries to ignore it. The first time we saw Pennywise in full makeup was probably not until a month and a half in, or maybe more, which was incredible how they did that, by the way, because they just kept us from not seeing him for that long, and you'd think by now it's like, oh, maybe we can get a peek of him, but I think we all also decided mutually that it would be good to see him for the first time and just be freaked out. And the first time we saw him all together was the projector scene, and it was a video, but still really scary. Like the first time you're like, because like in my stomach I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is good. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be amazing, and it was, and it was terrifying. The set is amazingly designed. You got the sewer tunnels, which are still really fun to go through, by the way. We got the waterfall room, which definitely helped me build the atmosphere. Then you got the cistern, which is incredible. They have the huge stack of toys. It all looks amazing.
This movie has totally that Stand By Me feel. Then again, of course, it's Stephen King, but it totally has that. Like we're best friends. We do everything together. We fight against evil. We go on a mission and we secure our friendship, and it's pretty amazing. It was like the friendship that we've built over the period of this movie is just out. It's amazing. Sophia, Lillis. She's an amazing actor. She's great. Also, she's a great friend. You would think that with like a whole bunch of boys and like one girl, it would be awkward and weird, and but literally, she's just like our best friend. It's so cool. It's really cool. It helps me a lot as an actor, because if I was working on a green screen, I wouldn't be able to be in the moment as much as I would in a physical sewer. So that is really helpful. And also this sewer, it's extremely detailed. It's amazing. The artwork on this film is just breathtaking. Prosthetics, set design, wardrobe, it's amazing. He's amazing. He gives us the freedom and like the capacity to improv and do whatever we want in the scene. So he's super easygoing, and he's so creative. It's great. This is gonna be definitely, no doubt, this is definitely gonna be one of the greatest, most unforgettable life experiences I have ever had and will ever have. So I'm definitely gonna walk away from this movie like enjoying and being proud of what I did and what we've all done as a team. And definitely this movie is always going to be near and dear to my heart, so it's great.